Welcome to Nonprofit Nation, the series that highlights the meaningful work nonprofits are doing to strengthen our community. In each episode, we speak with leaders, volunteers, and advocates addressing real-world changes and creating impactful solutions. Join us as we explore their stories, the obstacles they face, and the measurable change they bring to people and causes they serve. Welcome back, folks. Amanda Pierce broadcasting live with you today from the Teacher Reuse Exchange in Cumming, Georgia. This on-site broadcast is brought to you by Commercial Capital Limited, your one-stop shop for commercial financing needs. I'm with the founder and executive director, Denise Carelton.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We are surrounded by all of the fun things that I remember from school. Paper of all colors, books of all sorts, glue, pens, rubber bands, office supplies. Tell our listeners what the Teacher Reuse Exchange does.
Well, we collect donations from businesses, the community, teachers, other organizations, and we make them available for our teachers and nonprofits serving children. We are open to many, many counties, so from northern Georgia to Gwinnett to Fulton.
So you guys provide kind of a bridge to the teachers with supplies, and you also reuse those supplies that didn't get used throughout the year.
That is correct. And we have student teachers come from UNG that to set up a classroom, a teacher could be putting out well over $1,000. And they will come here and they'll be able to find decor for their room, resources to help them with teaching students. And we literally have saved teachers thousands upon thousands of dollars of materials that most likely would have ended up in the landfill. So that is really important to us because we love recycling. The last place we send anything is to the landfill. And the teachers just love it. They come in here and they're just blown away because it is a very well-known fact that our teachers, they don't get funding for these classrooms. It has to come from their own pockets.
You and I were kind of playing the name game earlier, and I have served some organizations that utilize your materials and supplies. So how do you look to connect with the community as far as donations, and then how do you serve them as well?
Well, we know a lot of nonprofits because I've been in the county for over 20 years. So I've been involved with other organizations, and that's how we all connect. Other nonprofits are always looking for funding as well. So if we can save them hundreds of dollars on paper or binders or things that they need, they're able to put that money into the people that they serve.
They're located here off of Meadow Drive. So if you come around the back side of the building and you'll come through to their office. And like I said, it's just jam-packed full of amazing, useful items. So as I sit here and I look, tell me where some of these donations originated.
Well, some of our donations come all the way from teachers in Fulton County. In fact, we have a great story when we first opened in 2020 during COVID, like what a time to start. We were interviewed for Channel 11, I believe it was, and a retired teacher in Villa Rica saw us. She actually rented a box truck and paid a neighbor to drive it down to us. Wow. And it was packed with all of her treasures that they're so important to these teachers. So the thought of having to throw it out, that's where we're also a great service because teachers know that their resources are going to go to other teachers. So she was we had to rent a storage unit because our space before this one was a lot smaller. We just did not have the room. I mean, we filled up within a matter of weeks when we opened our doors.
Wow.
Why this is not the prettiest of spaces, the owner of this building loves nonprofits. He's big with Rotary. So our rent is dirt cheap.
Good.
And that's one thing I really want to do is run on a very tight budget. I don't get paid. I have one employee. We have other people like we have here today that volunteer their time, and they're very passionate about what we do. So we're able to do this at a very low price point.
Cost. Tell me what that process is like, because again, we're trying to impart a vision to our listeners, and this is Nonprofit Nation. So let's talk to people who aren't local, and let's talk to those who can't quite envision this. Now, you mentioned the volunteers, and I see some tables and some sorting going on. So walk us through that.
So if you bring your donations to us, we put it in our stock room and we process it. So we want to make sure anything we put out for our teachers to shop for works. If the markers are dead, that doesn't do any good. If we have a game, that all the game pieces are there. If it's a puzzle, all the puzzle pieces are there. And we do get resources that are very dated. We even got a vinyl record one.
Yeah. Was it a collector?
It could have been. So we get stuff that we just can't put out. So that's where our recycling comes in that we find a place for it. So we even donate things to other thrift stores, like the Place, the Shop, things that we know teachers won't take. We get back out in the community, and hopefully then those nonprofits are also able to benefit from it.
I love how you have an environmental conscious about what you do, and the fact that you take the time to ensure that what you cannot use does not go into a landfill says a lot about your thought behind this mission.
And that's where it really started. Lisa and I were PTA moms 20 years ago, and we did the Environmental Education Committee. So we did all the school recycling, and we would do an end-of-year teacher trash treasure. And when we saw all the stuff that teachers weren't taking home with them for over the summer, we were like, oh my gosh, this is one school. How can we make this bigger? Because it's so important for our teachers, and it's important for our environment. And so it took a hot second. And then in the middle of trying to figure out how to do this, I got paralyzed in an accident. And I was like, I'm just never going to make this happen. And then 2020 with COVID, I'm like, I'm just going to find a space and I'm going to open this and I will worry about funding and figure it all out. This has to be done.
You have to give it to God. Mm-hmm. And he came through.
Yes.
May I ask a personal question?
Sure.
Would you share the story of your accident?
It could be another God moment. So I was actually on my way to Mississippi to pick up my oldest for winter break from college, and I was speeding. And I got pulled over for speeding, and while the trooper had me pulled over, a semi-truck veered off the road and hit us. We both lived. That's usually most people that run into do not live. So I received a T4, T5 spinal cord injury.
And you still carried on with all of the missions that you had to accomplish. You didn't let that slow you down or stop you.
No, and you learn that at the Shepherd Center, which we are so blessed to have here in the state of Georgia. So you learn that life goes on, and this is really my purpose.
I don't know what the Shepherd Center is.
You don't know?
No.
Oh my gosh! So the Shepherd Center was founded by the Shepherd family. Their son was paralyzed. Gosh, thinking it was the 70s, and when they were bringing him back here to the States, they found there were no rehabilitations for people with spinal cord injuries. There was one, and it was in Colorado. So the family with I think it was under 10 beds in Piedmont, in Buckhead, started the Shepherd Center to provide services for rehabilitation for people that have spinal cord injuries, and they have just grown. So they do MS, they do share initiative with veterans, they have spinal cord injury, they have wound care. It's unbelievable. And Mrs. Shepherd is in her 90s, and you want to talk about an inspiration. That woman just, it's amazing. And then we're so lucky for Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus, who just recently passed. They have donated millions upon millions of dollars, and Arthur Blank just donated, I think it was something like $50 million to do new residences for families, because most of the Shepherd Center patients are not from Georgia. They come from other places in the world. They come from other states, and they're just amazing.
I recently did a piece on resilience, and then someone turned it around and asked me what resilience meant to me. And I kind of related it to endurance and the race of life and preparation and all the things that you could do. But I'm very curious, because of your experience, what does resilience mean to you?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I never was mad. I certainly cried over my accident. But I will tell you, during my rehabilitation at the Shepherd Center, I never felt more loved. And that goes not only from my friends and family that were there for us, all of the staff there that I'm still friends with, that when we go there, my friend Dakota, who I met when we were patients, we're now like family. We both just moved to McDonough. And when we go there, they remember us. It's 10 years later. I bring books for their kids because all of them were younger and they've now started their families. And it's just community and family.
I can feel that. Like when you're telling the story, I can feel it beaming from you.
I just, it's absolutely amazing. And they let you know life goes on. It's just going to be different. And yes, there are challenges, but there were challenges when I was able-bodied. I mean, we all face them. And you just have to decide, I can't change what happened to me. I can only change the way that I handle it.
How does faith play a role not only in your day-to-day life, but you mentioned, as we're here, you mentioned a lifespan of a year here, or a time clock, shall I say. So speaking broadly, personal and professionally, how does faith play a role in your day-to-day?
That's interesting. I'm really not a faithful person. And my friend Tony, he passed away many, many years ago from colon cancer, and he was very religious, and he always wanted me to have more faith, and we would have conversations about it. But when the doctors told him he would not survive, he sat on a rock. We lived next door to each other, and he said, God, I need to know if you're in this fight with me. Show me something I've never seen. Show me a buck. Because we all had doe in our forest around our houses. And that day he saw multiple bucks. In fact, he was on his porch and I was on mine. And I was standing then, and through the woods, I watched a doe and a buck cross my driveway, and I got a picture of it. Wow. So Tony, through the years, he sends me messages whenever I see a buck. Like the house that I just moved into in McDonough, when I went there to go look at it, there was a buck in the backyard.
That's how you knew.
And that's how I knew this is where you're supposed to, your journey's going to go on from here, Denise.
I love that. I would call that a God wink. It's like you just see that little something that reminds you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for indulging me in that personal piece. I really enjoyed just kind of getting to know you a little bit. Talk about resources. How can those listening help your cause? How can they follow along with your success? How can they participate?
Well, the biggest thing we're working on this year is funding to continue. I've been the major funder since we've been open for 4 years. We did get one grant. It's a little bit hard with us because we are all overhead. We have so many donations. Every other program or service we provide is for free. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, the Places Holiday House, we get thousands upon thousands of new books. So for several years now, we are giving them 2,700 plus books that parents can pick out to give to their children at Christmas time. I have a volunteer here today that's working on Read Across America. This actually started in 2014. We did like 147 bags of books to one of our local schools. We now hand out 8,000 to 10,000 books to children at different schools in Forsyth County, and we are branching out to Hall County this year.
Okay, so you said it's all overhead. So that means because the supplies are donated, all of the labor...
All of the labor is free. Lisa is our only part-time paid staff. And I needed to do that so we are sustainable. So we are here for years to come. So, it's hard to find grants, and I'm not a grant writer, and I'm stretched thin as it is already to find out how we can get funding. So I would love for corporations, private individuals to just find passion for teachers, for children, for other nonprofits, for our environment, and help us to keep our doors open for years to come. In fact, there's a huge garage on my new property, and I am going to probably be branching out and opening up a teacher reuse exchange there for our teachers, because we have sent supplies to Clayton County, to Fulton County, to Barrow County, and there's a real need.
Let me ask you a question. Hold on. So going back to the grants, somebody that's grant savvy or somebody that
has the time to research grants and write grants. But grants are always not guaranteed, and everybody is applying for them.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't need much to stay open, but
So
that's
when
the
you
biggest way.
asked, like for corporations and stuff, just donations as far as dollars are the best for you.
Yes.
Okay. So donation in the form of dollars. Now you mentioned expanding to your garage. Do you foresee this template being, are you able to duplicate this, or can this run in tandem with another one elsewhere?
The only other place there is, and it's run by Athens Clark in Athens, is they have a teacher reuse store. I've never been to their facility, but they are open to every teacher in every county. So that would be great for us too if we expanded. Obviously, we're stuffed to the gills here. And teachers will drive. I've always dreamed about having like a supply bus, like the bookmobile,
Cool.
and that we could go to remote places where the teachers can't get to us, but that's in my dreams.
And open up the doors and
Open up
raise
the
the thing and
doors.
just
I
let them
know.
shop. That's so
Yeah.
nice. You tell our listeners why you're so passionate about education. Tell us about your bout in the world of education before this.
I'm going to tell you honestly, it was the biggest part of me was about not only the teachers, but the environment and the thought of brand new, expensive, valuable resources, books, and I love books, going to the landfill just really freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then getting to meet all the teachers that come and shop. And I've always loved educators. I've always volunteered when my girls were young in schools. But when you come and they're so grateful and so appreciative, and they're like, I didn't know how I was going to fill my classroom. And you'll have a teacher too. All of a sudden you'll hear them talking amongst themselves, or like, oh my gosh, I found this. I'm able to use this in my classroom for this. Like, oh my gosh, like your heart just fills.
Well, for those of you just joining us, I am speaking with Denise, and she is the founder and the executive director here at Teacher Reuse Exchange. And their mission is to provide an outlet for the donation, repurpose, and to reuse new and gently used teacher, school, community, and business discards. They aim to create a sustainable solution that diverts these abundant resources from landfills and ensures that they find new life in educational settings. By facilitating the redistribution of these materials, they strive to support educators, children, and nonprofits in their pursuit of knowledge, learning, and the environmental responsibility. If you'd like to learn more about the Teacher Reuse Exchange, you can find them online at teacherreuseexchange.org. And at the top there's a nice QR code, and it'll give you some opportunities to contribute.
Anybody can make a difference. Even you can contribute here. You can come to volunteer. You can help deliver things for us. We donate books to Friends of the Library. They have to go. We service 2 free little libraries in the county. So we're always looking for people to help us get that job done, especially when we start to hit May. We will be jammed packed with donations. We're very fortunate. There's another passionate person here in the county, Sean Purdy, and he will actually go to schools for us and have his workers fill their truck and bring their here, because certainly I'm not going in the paralyzed van to pick up all the donations. We actually take donations all year long. Like I said, we have other schools that teachers will drive their stuff to here because they don't know there's nowhere else to go. So
You mentioned May being significant.
May is significant because everybody is getting ready for the end of school year. Teachers have to pack up everything in their classrooms. So some may be retiring, some may be switching grades, some may be switching schools. Some simply might not have the room in their home for the materials. So it's actually mind-blowing to see when we get very overwhelmed when we see all the stuff, and we're like, okay, we got to breathe. And Lisa and I were both very, very organized. So everything here, so we have like an office space. So there you'll find paper and everything. We have a seasonal room. We have a book room. We have social studies. We have language arts. We have science. We have math. So being very organized helps our teachers too when they come here to shop, because it is very overwhelming, especially for our new teachers.
So if I had a couple hours in May on a day to come and help you sort, would that be of use?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we do have another great organization here in the county, and it's, I think, nationwide, the Young Men's Service League. So we have moms and their sons come, and they will volunteer here together, which I just absolutely love, because a lot of their boys, they're in 11th or 12th grade, they are going to be moving on, and they get to spend time here.
And it's always good to dedicate service or to do service with your children, because it really lays the groundwork for them. How can people get in touch with you?
You can call me. My number is on the website. You can get in touch with Lisa. Her number's on our website. You can reach out to us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and where else am I?
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I don't do
that's
X.
my primary. Yeah, me neither.
So it's very overwhelming. And you can just email us at teacherreusexchange@gmail.com.
Special thanks to our partners at Commercial Capital Limited for supporting the Nonprofit Nation podcast series. Visit AmandaPierch.com to learn more about purpose-driven podcasting.